You know, humor is such an interesting thing. It's like this universal language that somehow manages to connect us all, regardless of where we come from. But have you ever thought about how the history of colonialism has shaped the humor we share today? I mean, let's take a moment to unpack that. It's not just about telling jokes or laughing at funny memes. It's about understanding the layers of context behind the laughter. Colonialism, in its essence, is a story of power dynamics, cultural exchanges, and often exploitation. When one group of people asserts dominance over another, it doesn't just affect politics or economics. It seeps into every facet of life, including humor. Think about it. The jokes we tell and the way we laugh often reflect the societal norms and values that have been passed down through generations. In many ways, humor acts as a mirror to our experiences, and for colonized peoples, that mirror has been cracked and distorted in ways that are both painful and enlightening. Let's start with the colonizers themselves. European powers, for instance, had a very specific brand of humor. It was often characterized by a sense of superiority, a derisive laughter aimed at the other. Think of the caricatures they created. Over-the-top depictions of the colonized, often portrayed as savage, uncivilized, or backward. These portrayals weren't just for laughs. They were tools of oppression, reinforcing the idea that colonizers were superior and that their way of life was the only civilized way. This kind of humor was a way to justify their actions, to make light of the serious harm they were inflicting on others. It's a dark irony that the laughter of the oppressor often came at the expense of the oppressed. Now let's flip the script. What about the humor that emerges from colonized cultures? In many cases, humor became a form of resistance. When people are subjected to oppression, they often turn to laughter as a coping mechanism. It's a way to reclaim power in situations where they feel powerless. Think of the clever satire, the biting wit that can emerge from the depths of hardship. For instance, in many African cultures, humor has been used to critique colonial authorities and their absurdities. The ability to laugh at one's oppressor is a profound act of defiance. It says, "You may have power, but you don't have my spirit." This brings us to the concept of gallows humor. It's that dark, often uncomfortable laughter that arises in dire situations. For many colonized peoples, gallows humor became a way to process trauma. It's a way to confront the harsh realities of life under colonial rule while still finding a sliver of joy. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times, laughter can be a source of resilience. Think of the stories passed down through generations, jokes that have evolved over time, often morphing into something that reflects the unique experiences of a community. These jokes carry the weight of history, and in many ways, they serve as a form of storytelling that keeps the memory of struggles alive. Now, let's talk about the blending of cultures that happened as a result of colonialism. When different cultures collide, there's often a fascinating exchange of ideas, including humor. Take, for example, the way African American humor has roots in both African traditions and the experiences of slavery. It's a rich tapestry of resilience, where humor becomes a means of survival. The stories, the punchlines, the clever wordplay, all of it reflects a history of struggle and triumph. It's a beautiful testament to how humor can evolve, adapt, and flourish in the face of adversity. And then there's the phenomenon of cultural appropriation. We've all seen it. When elements of a marginalized culture are taken and used by those in power, often stripped of their original context. This can extend to humor too. Think about how certain jokes or comedic styles are often co-opted by mainstream culture, sometimes to the detriment of the original creators. It's a complex issue. On one hand, humor can be a bridge that connects different cultures. On the other, it can also become a tool for exploitation, where the original context is lost and the humor becomes hollow. In the realm of stand-up comedy, we dynamic play out, comedians from marginalized backgrounds often use their platform to address the absurdities of colonialism and its lingering effects. They weave their personal experiences into their routines, creating a space where laughter becomes a vehicle for social commentary. It's powerful to witness how humor can spark conversations about race, identity, and history. These comedians challenge the status quo, using laughter to shed light on serious issues. They remind us that humor is not just about entertainment. It can be a catalyst for change. But let's not forget the role of the audience in all this. Humor is subjective, right? What one person finds hilarious, another might find offensive. This is especially true when it comes to jokes that touch on colonial history. For some, humor can be a way to process trauma, while for others, it can feel like a painful reminder of past injustices. This tension is something that comedians must navigate carefully. They have to balance the desire to make people laugh with the responsibility to be sensitive to the experiences of their audience. Now, with the rise of social media, we've seen a new wave of humor emerge. Memes, TikTok videos, and Twitter threads that tackle colonialism in a way that's accessible and relatable. This democratization of humor allows for a broader range of voices to be heard. People can share their experiences, their jokes, and their perspectives in real time, creating a global conversation around the impact of colonialism on humor. It's fascinating to see how humor transcends borders, bringing people together in unexpected ways. But here's the thing. While humor can be a unifying force, it can also perpetuate stereotypes. We need to be vigilant about the narratives we promote through our laughter. Are we reinforcing harmful tropes, or are we challenging them? The jokes we laugh at can either uplift marginalized voices or further entrench existing power dynamics. It's a delicate balance, and one that requires critical thinking and awareness. So, what does all of this mean for us today? It means that we have a responsibility to be mindful of the humor we consume and share. We should celebrate the diversity of voices that contribute to our understanding of humor, particularly those from marginalized communities. We should engage with humor that challenges us, that makes us think, and that encourages us to reflect on our own experiences. And most importantly, we should recognize the power of laughter as a tool for healing and connection. In a world that often feels divided, humor can serve as a bridge that brings us closer together. It reminds us of our shared humanity, our struggles, and our triumphs. It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity, we can find reasons to laugh, to connect, and to celebrate life. So, let's embrace the complexity of humor, honor its roots in colonial history, and continue to explore the ways it shapes our understanding of the world around us. After all, laughter is a powerful force, one that can inspire change and foster understanding. And in a world that desperately needs both, we should never underestimate the impact